When the vehicle's locked and you have the key with you, you walk up to the vehicle and it will sense the key when you get really close to it, and it turns on this little tiny light right there in the handle. The rest of the vehicle is completely dark. So when I have the headlights switched to the off position, we still have lights here in the front only, just there in the front, not the tail lights. And it's these daytime running lights, very bright, and multiple lights are all reflector LEDs. And let me turn the brightness down on the camera so you can see them. So you see it's like this whole tier, whole layer that extends here into the grill of lights. Really impressive looking. But these are not the headlights, these are just daytime running lights. And they're on with the headlight switch to the complete off position. When I turn the parking lights on, then those bright LED lights dim down. So now they're quite a bit dimmer. I don't know if you see that. There's also these amber lights that turn on here on the sides. Here on the side is a side marker. The tail lights are now on, and they wrap around to the side of the vehicle so they're able to be seen from the side and the back. Nice strong LED lights in red, and of course they kind of look a little orangey on camera, but they're definitely a nice deep red, very bright back here as well, and they extend from one side to the other. Very distinct, sharp LED tail lights, very impressive. Once again, they look pretty orange on camera, but they are red. The turn signal is very bright here in the front, and it's amber in color. And lower the brightness so you can see it without blasting the camera out, and it's right in there. Right between these daytime running lights and that amber side marker. You can see it there on the side as well. There's also an LED turn signal indicator here on the side mirror, and it's visible from the front, the side, and the back, and it's amber as well. Nice and bright. And then here in the back, strange to say, there is a standard halogen bulb for the turn signal, and it's way down here. So you're indicating to it's in this low position, and that's usually an issue because it can easily be obscured by other traffic and stuff when it's very low like that. And people are usually looking for the turn signal to be in with the taillights, but it is quite a bit there, quite a ways out there on the side. So it is bright enough to where people can see it. Not to mention it does have the turn signal indicator on the side mirror. But just kind of strange to have that turn signal down there at the bottom. But it is amber instead of red, so that's good. Okay, so now I have these headlights on. And you notice that the headlights are in this kind of low position here. And they are a reflector low beams. So this is the low beams right here. And it's in a reflector. You can see it's like a double reflector. And the actual high beams are just below it, so down here. Now these have a cutoff. So let's go ahead and dip the camera down so you can see at a certain point. As I move the camera down, right there is the cutoff, which is quite low. So it shouldn't have any problem with blinding other drivers. It's like 2.5 feet off the ground. So that's the low beams, there's the high beams. You can see the difference there. So the high beams add an additional LED light there at the bottom. So the low beams still stay on, but it just adds that secondary light. So all these accent lights are still on, which is pretty cool. That amber side marker is still there. And then here's the headlights. So the low beams are on top, high beams are on the bottom. See, it's like a quad projector system. So as I stand here, starting to rain now, so you can see the pattern of the lights fairly well. So So as I dip down, it's much higher position. Now the cargo area has a single light here on the left side, and it's a halogen warm tone light, and it illuminates this area right in here fairly well. But you'll notice as you look to the right, it's very dark, and part of it is I have the suitcase getting in the way, casting a shadow to the right of it, which is one problem with having a single light. Another thing is, just in general, it's not very bright over here. It's very dark, so the actual brightness of the light isn't very bright. It's only on one side. So these are two major issues that are causing, you know, the lighting in the cargo area to be inadequate, in my opinion. Very inadequate. Now it does have a backlit button here for closing the power liftgate. The inside of the back door has a single light, and that is right here for the power window. The rest of the door is dark, all the pockets and everything. So there's a bottle holder down here to start, handle, little pocket there as well. So the inside of the back area, so the back seat. Now this is black interior, so that kind of doesn't really help out with the lighting situation. But you can see it's still an issue because you have a single dome light there, and it illuminates a little bit there in the seats. Fairly decent, a little bit there in the floorboard, but considering we have black interior, it's, you know, making it not so great. Now there is some backlit USB ports here, so you can see those that are backlit illuminated. But yeah, once again, I would say this is fairly inadequate as far as lighting here in the back. The inside of the driver's side door has a single light right down here. So this is like an ambient light, and it's not on now because the door is open. So when you close the door, you're gonna have this ambient light that shines in this area, and I'll show you that in a second. But the rest of these buttons here are backlit for the power windows, the door locks, but this button here for adjusting the side mirror is completely dark, so that's not backlit. So there's no lights there on the floorboard. Once again, we have two lights here in the center, but they are close together, so it's kind of almost like a single light. But they do illuminate in the lap area of each, the driver and the passenger, fairly well. So if you're trying to like hold something in your hand and look at it or whatever, then that's fine. But there is some other issues that we'll see as we move forward. So I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and I have the door open so the interior lights are on, so you get an idea of what's going on here. Let's go ahead and shut the door, and you see we're left with the backlit buttons here. There's a light here in the door that is now illuminated, and that's just like a mood lighting, or it is kind of functional because you can see stuff in there, but it's different colors. So it's like an accent type light. And then you have the backlit buttons here. To the left of the steering column, there's some backlit buttons. The actual steering wheel is all backlit, all the buttons anyway. And the gauges are basically a screen, and it has different views. So when you change the drive modes, it looks different. So some of them are kind of bright. When you put it into the sport mode, it kind of dims it down a little bit. So it's not quite as bright in your face, but you can adjust the brightness as well. So there's a button here to the left of the steering column. We can adjust the brightness. That's as low as it goes, and then when you raise it, that's as high as it goes. It also adjusts these other buttons here as well, the backlit buttons and the screen as we're adjusting it. Alright, so there's the screen. Let's go ahead and take a look at the backup camera. And man, it's bright. That backup camera. Let me change the brightness on the camera so you can actually see, because it's like super bright in my face here. But yeah, it amplifies the brightness at nighttime, so you can see behind the vehicle pretty good. Alright. Let's go back to a relatively normal level. Alright, so all these are backlit, and then you have this light here, and I have it like set to like a violet purple color, and I'll show you how to change it in a minute. And then there's some backlit buttons in here, That compartment's illuminated. That's where you have the wireless charge pad and the shifter. There's some cup holders here that you can't see, but they are not illuminated. Then there's some more buttons here that are illuminated. And then the heated seats here as well. This compartment opens up. It's completely dark. So we're gonna have to get to the point where I have to turn on the interior lights so I can show you what's going on, because it's getting very dark. So you can see the cup holders right there. And even with the light on, it's not that great. I mean, you know, like in that cup holder's dark, the floorboard's dark, you know, not all that good. But this compartment here is completely dark. Even with the interior lights on, it's really hard to kind of see in there. I do have the brightness set on the camera quite high, and I have those business cards in there so that way you can see something, because it is black in there, so you know it's not all that great. Glove compartment does have a nice bright light, so it's funny they at least they got that right. It's funny. I was half expecting it to be dark as well, but okay, so up here there's the rearview mirror, and above that you have a backlit button for the blue link and the roadside assistance, and the actual interior lights. Okay, so you have the actual light itself. You could just press it, right? But the button to turn on the interior lights is right here. You notice it's not backlit for some reason. It's completely dark, and the only time you want to use that button is when it's dark and you need to see. So you kind of have to know right where that button is to turn it on. It's like very curious that that is the one button that you would need when it's dark, the only button in which you would absolutely need when it's dark, and they don't backlit that button. That's crazy. All right, so there is a mirror here, but to turn on the light you have to a little switch, which is completely dark. You got to feel around on the headliner here. So let me turn on the interior lights, and kind of now it just blinds me, but it is, I can kind of make it out. There we go. All right, so there is another light switch that's dark, so that's another thing to consider. So there's two light switches that are dark. To adjust these ambient lights that I have set to purple, there's one on the door pocket on the passenger side, there's one here in the center, and then there's one here on this side. And I got it set to like a bluish purple looking color. It's to adjust the color, it's not in the main screen. It's in, for some reason, the gauge cluster here. So let's go ahead and go over here to user settings, and then we go down to lights, and then we go to ambient light color. You can have brightness, and then you can have ambient light color. Select that. Polar white, moon white, ice blue, jade green, orchid green, freesia yellow, sunrise red, aurora purple, and lightning violet. So those are the different options here. So I'm going to go through. We'll start here with polar white. All right, so polar white is that view right there. All right, the next one is moon white. Next one is ice blue. Next one is ocean blue. Next one is jade green. It kind of slowly fades to the next color. Orchid green. That's a nice looking green. So this is the freesia yellow. Sunrise red. It's a nice deep red. Aurora purple. Lightning violet. Alright, so there's some nice colors there. Let's go back to the orchid green. I think I like that one. That's really nice. I really should have brought a flashlight with me, because the interior lights are so poor that I'm having trouble with hooking up my camera system and my microphone and all that stuff. It's just definitely need, if you buy this vehicle, definitely buy a flashlight, because you're going to need it. Okay, so there is the low beams, the pattern there on a fence, and you see there's the high beams, low beams, quite a bit higher the high beams there, but it has automatic high beams, which we'll turn on for now and see how it goes. So there's the high beams. So we have the automatic high beams turned on. There's no cars around. So that's what it's showing now. Now we're at low beams because there's some cars coming. So it's working right now. And you'll notice that the left side, like the oncoming lane portion of the cutoff is a little bit lower than the right side. So that helps out with avoiding blinding oncoming traffic. And you'll notice, like in safety tests that companies will do, they'll measure both the left and the right separately, and you'll notice that the left side is always a little bit less than the right. So far the automatic high beams are working okay. And it has a little bit of a drizzle rain right now. And that's one thing about automatic high beams. It depends if your windshield's dirty too, because it obscures the visibility of the system. Same thing with the lane keep assist as well. All right, so that's it's a nice dark road, and there's lots of oh, here comes a car. Okay, so the automatic high beams worked. But yeah, this is a nice dark road, and you're able to see pretty decent. The low beams are, I would say, kind of mediocre. Not all that great. High beams are quite a bit better, but the light is a little bit patchy and it fades quickly. Most of the light is closer to the vehicle, and as you look down the road, it seems to fade a lot. There's quite a bit of light that's up high, that's shining up in the trees, that goes a ways, but as far as actually on the road, it seems to fade a little quick. I mean, I would say that means the headlights are adequate, no doubt. They're not bad headlights, but they're not super impressive either. And so far, the automatic high beams are working good. The light on the sides of the vehicle, like in the immediate sides especially, is quite a bit dark. So if I just glance to the left or right, it's very dark. And I don't know if you can see, you probably can see that on camera. This is a wide view lens. So you can see that there's quite a bit of, it's just mostly right in front of the vehicle, and then it quickly fades as you go down the road. Even with this going uphill here, you would think that those lights would shine on the road more, but they tend to just fade away rapidly. You know, maybe 5 or 6 car lengths and or less, and it's kind of starting to get pretty dark.